Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the things you're curious about, dig into the sources you send us, and pull out the really interesting stuff. You get the knowledge minus the headache of sifting through it all.
And hopefully some surprising insights along the way.
Exactly. So this time you pointed us towards a giant of the automotive world, Ferruccio Lamborghini. Specifically, his story and how his car company got started.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story. We've got a Wikipedia entry giving us the biographical rundown and also a historical overview from a car dealership site, focusing more on the brand's journey.
Right. So our mission, basically, is to understand Ferruccio's path. What were the key moments? What was driving him to go from making tractors to these incredible supercars? Let's get into it.
And it's fascinating because his early life, you wouldn't immediately connect it to high-end sports cars.
Yeah.
But it really set the stage.
Totally. He was born April 28th, 1916, near Cento in Italy. His parents, Antonio and Evelina, were great farmers.
Right, agriculture.
Yeah.
But Ferruccio himself wasn't really drawn to farming. He was much more interested in mechanics, tinkering with things.
Yeah, the sources mention he was always more interested in the farm's machinery than the farming itself. So he went off to study near Bologna at the Fratelli Taddea Technical Institute.
And it's interesting, the sources aren't exactly aligned on what he studied. One says engineering, another industrial design.
Another says industrial arts. But the common thread is definitely technical, mechanical stuff. Seems he was just fascinated by how things worked.
Absolutely. And this wasn't just a hobby, it became foundational. Then came his time in the Italian Royal Air Force, starting in 1940. He was stationed on roads.
Yeah, as a mechanic and eventually supervising vehicle maintenance. So during World War II, he's fixing military vehicles, keeping things running under, pretty challenging conditions, I'd imagine.
Talk about hands-on experience. That kind of practical problem solving, working with complex machinery day in, day out, that builds serious skills.
No kidding. And after the war, he put those skills right to work. Opened his own garage back home in Pieve di Cento.
This is where you start to see the entrepreneurial spark really ignite.
Yeah.
He wasn't just fixing cars, he modified his own Fiat Topolino.
His little runabout, yeah. And apparently started messing around with building tractors in his spare time. He even raced that modified Fiat in the 1948 Mille Miglia.
Did he? How'd that go?
Well, he made it about 1,100 kilometers, then apparently drove it into a restaurant in Fiano. So maybe not the most auspicious racing debut.
Huh, okay. But the tractor idea, that stuck. Post-war Italy desperately needed agricultural equipment for rebuilding.
Exactly. Huge demand. And Lamborghini saw this opportunity. He used his mechanical skills, plus surplus military vehicle parts, engines, differentials from trucks and things left over from the war. Super resourceful.
It really was. And that led to the first proper Lamborghini tractor, the Carioca, around 1947.
It used Morris truck engines, but the really clever bit was his own fuel atomizer design.
Right, that little piece of engineering was key. It let the tractor start on petrol, which is easier when cold, but then run on cheaper diesel fuel.
A big deal for farmers trying to save money back then. Just really smart, practical innovation.
And he moved fast. Lamborghini Trattori was officially founded in 1948.
And it took off, became a really significant player in the agricultural equipment market pretty quickly.
But he didn't stop there, did he? He clearly had wider ambitions.
Not at all. In 1959, he started Lamborghini Bruciatori, making oil burners for heating systems. That company later branched into air conditioning, too.
And then another one, Lamborghini Oleodynamica, in 1969, for hydraulic equipment.
Yeah, so tractors, burners, hydraulics.
What?
Proper little industrial group. He was clearly spotting needs and building businesses around them.
A real knack for it. But okay, let's get to the part everyone knows, the jump to sports cars. How did that happen?
Well, by the 50s and early 60s, his success meant he could afford some nice cars himself, and he owned quite a few.
Alfa Romeos, Lancias. Wow. The dealership history mentions a Mercedes 300 SL, a Jag E-Type.
Even a couple of Maserati 3500 GTs. And there's a quote where he says he respected Adolfo Orsi at Maserati, but thought the cars were heavy and not very fast, already thinking like an engineer, evaluating them.
Always critical, always analyzing. And then came the Ferraris. He bought his first one, a 250 GT, around 1958, and eventually owned several.
But he wasn't entirely happy with them either, was he?
No, the sources suggest he found them, too much like track cars for the road. Noisy, rough ride, interior's not particularly well finished.
And the big one, the clutches. He apparently had repeated problems with the clutches.
Which brings us to that story, the legendary confrontation with Enzo Ferrari himself.
Right. Lamborghini fed up with the clutch issues and maybe the after-sales service too, supposedly went directly to Maranello to complain to Enzo.
And Ferrari's reaction,
Yeah.
well, it's become automotive legend. The gist is that Ferrari basically dismissed him.
Yeah, told him something like, the problem isn't the car, it's the driver. Or, more famously, you stick to driving tractors, farmer, and leave the sports cars to me. Something along those lines.
Ouch. Lamborghini himself later confirmed Ferrari was, let's say, sharp with him, and basically questioned his ability to understand sports cars. He did add, though, that he thought Enzo was a great man, just easily provoked.
Huh. But that dismissal, whether it was exactly those words or not, seems to have been the spark.
It certainly seems like it, because the story continues. The Lamborghini went back, took apart the clutch on his own Ferrari, realized it was basically the same type he used in his tractors.
But maybe specified differently or just not robust enough for the power. And he thought, I can fix this.
Exactly. He apparently fitted a stronger clutch from his tractor parts bin, maybe made some other tweaks, and found his modified Ferrari was actually better than the standard ones.
And that was it, the light bulb moment. If I can improve a Ferrari, maybe I can just build my own car and build it better.
His goal, as he stated it, wasn't just raw speed. It was the perfect grand tourer, high performance, yes, but also refined handling, comfortable ride, quality interior, all the things he felt Ferrari lacked.
And let's not forget the business side. He was a sharp businessman. He likely saw the potential for much higher profit margins on exotic cars compared to tractors, especially if he could leverage some of his existing manufacturing knowledge or maybe even components.
A very good point. It wasn't just passion. It was a calculated business move, too.
So Automobili Lamborghini was officially founded in 1963. The goal: compete head-on with Ferrari.
And they moved incredibly fast. The first Lamborghini car, the 350 GTV prototype, was shown at the Turin Auto Show in November '63, just months after founding the company.
Amazing speed. And the momentum continued. The production 350 GT and then the 400 GT started making waves in 65, 66.
Yeah, that mid-'60s period was prolific. Lots of development, prototypes like the 3500 GTZ, the Monza 400, even if they didn't all make it to production. The dealership source mentions an extravagant chassis shown in '65 that really turned heads.
Probably hinting at advanced engineering, maybe independent suspension or something innovative for the time, setting the tone.
Definitely. And by '67, '68, Lamborghini was properly established. The 400 GT2+2 was selling, and then came the Miura.
Ah, the Miura. Game changer. That mid-engine layout, just stunning. It really cemented Lamborghini's reputation for radical design and performance.
Absolutely iconic. And they kept refining things. The Miura S came along with a nicer interior, electric windows, even air conditioning, those GT comforts Ferruccio wanted.
Right. While the Miura got the spotlight, other models like the Islero GT came and went more quietly, and then the Espada 4-seater arrived and was actually quite successful for them.
So a period of incredible creativity and growth.
Yeah.
But then things got tougher in the early '70s.
Yeah, the economic climate shifted. His businesses started facing some headwinds. The tractor side, Lamborghini Trattori, ran into trouble.
Big export orders canceled, wasn't it? South Africa, Bolivia. That must have hurt the cash flow significantly across the group.
It seems so. And it led to big changes. In 1972, Ferruccio sold his entire stake in the tractor company, Lamborghini Trattori, to a competitor, Smaim.
Wow. Selling the company that started it all. That must have been tough.
I'd imagine. And that same year, he started stepping back from the car company, too. Sold a majority stake, 51%, to a Swiss businessman, Georges-Henri Rossetti.
And then sold the rest, the remaining 49%, to another Swiss investor, René Leimer, by 1974. So he was completely out of Automobili Lamborghini by then.
Yeah. Plus, you had the 1973 oil crisis hitting right around then, which obviously wasn't great for sales of bursty, high-performance cars.
A difficult time for the whole industry, but Ferruccio didn't just, disappear. He still had his other businesses.
Right. The heating and air conditioning company, Lamborghini Kaler, and the hydraulics business, Lamborghini Olio Dinamica. He kept those going.
And then in 1974, he effectively retired to his estate, La Fiorita, on Lake Trasimeno. Sounds idyllic.
It does. He went back to his roots, in a way. Started making wine from his own vineyards there.
And apparently designed his own golf course on the estate. Still keeping busy, just in different ways. He also had his daughter, Patrizia, around this time.
Now, we have to talk about the bull. The Raging Bull logo, the car names. Where did that come from?
Yes, the bullfighting connection. That apparently started after a visit Ferruccio made in 1962 to the ranch of Don Eduardo Miura, a famous breeder of Spanish fighting bulls near Seville.
And Ferruccio himself was a Taurus, born under the sign of the bull. He was apparently just captivated by the power and aggression of the animals.
Exactly. So he decided a raging bull would be the emblem for his car company. A pretty potent symbol.
And the names followed suit. Mura, obviously named after Don Eduardo, then Islero, Rocco, Yalpa, Diablo, Murcielago, Gallardo, Reventon, Aventador, all names of famous fighting bulls or breeds.
It's remarkable how consistently they stuck to that theme. Gave the brand such a distinct, aggressive identity.
There were a few exceptions, though, right?
Yeah, the Countach wasn't a bull. It's apparently a Piedmontese exclamation of amazement or astonishment.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Oh, makes sense for that car. And the LM002 SUV, the Silhouette.
Right. And the Estorque concept car was named after the Matador's sword, but mostly it was bulls.
It's amazing, too, that all those original companies, Ferruccio founded tractors, burners, hydraulics, cars, even the winery, they all still exist today in some form or another.
Quite a legacy. And his family carries parts of it on. His son Tonino has his own luxury design brand clothing, accessories, even designed a little electric microcar.
And his daughter Patrizia runs the winery on the Umbria estate now, keeping the La Fiorita tradition going.
There's even a museum dedicated to him, the Ferruccio Lamborghini Museum, started by Tonino, now near Bologna.
Oh, and the boat. Can't forget the boat.
Right, his Riva Aquarama speedboat. Unique because it was the only one ever fitted with two Lamborghini V12 engines. He apparently loved that boat, owned it for over 20 years.
Just another example of his passion for powerful engineering on water as well as land.
Sadly, Ferruccio Lamborghini passed away on February 20th, 1993. He was 76, had a heart attack. Buried back in his hometown, Renazzo.
What a life, though, from fixing farm equipment and military trucks to building a world-class tractor business.
And then, fueled by dissatisfaction and maybe that famous encounter with Enzo, deciding to build his own supercar company and succeeding spectacularly.
It's an incredible journey. You really see that diverse entrepreneurial drive, the critical eye that sparked the innovation, and this relentless pursuit of his idea of the perfect car.
Absolutely. The drive to not just build something, but to build it better, according to his own demanding standards.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. Think about how sometimes being unhappy with something, or even a negative interaction, can push you in a totally unexpected direction. What's the thing you know inside out, your personal tractor, that might just hold the key to creating your own version of a Ferrari?
It's a great question. How can frustration become fuel?
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the story behind Lamborghini.